Hi, Milana. It is great to meet you and welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to start off today and hear a little bit more about your journey into marketing. Tell us a little bit of where did it begin and kind of fast forward then to where you're now, your company and your role at the organization.
It kind of just happened. I started off as a general assignment reporter for the Daily News, then I went on to become the financial editor of the Hollywood Reporter, and I morphed from an editorial role into a marketing role by sheer virtue of a position I accepted in entertainment to do global marketing and distribution. So I kind of had to learn marketing on the fly by working with some really amazing agencies and had to pick up the craft well after I had completed my college education, well after I had a 6, 7 year career as a journalist. So I learned it on the fly, to tell the truth.
And tell us a little bit about your current organization and your role.
Okay, I'm currently director of growth and marketing for Apto Global. Apto Global is an app that helps people have a soft landing anywhere they go. So, as you know, there's a lot of digital nomads out there on this planet. There's a lot of people traveling to places maybe they've never been because of the displacement of COVID. Most everyone's working remotely. So we are a tool that helps people soft land wherever they're going, make new friends in new locations, learn about locations virtually until they travel to those locations, or just provide a source of engagement, entertainment, and information for those that are wanting to travel or relocate somewhere else.
I want to take a step back and hit on a comment you made about marketing and learning it yourself and kind of learning it as you went on in your profession. What was your best way of that self-education? Was it books? Was it podcast, YouTube? How were you consuming and learning more about marketing?
Okay, we're talking about 20 years ago, before there were all these amazing tools and platforms to garner
That's even better
information.
because you really needed to go out of your way for that self-education.
So the old school way was this: is I worked with massive like Rogers and Cowan as a public relations firm, Dennis Davis Associates, Dentsu, a lot of different high priced, high caliber agencies. And how I learned was by asking a lot of questions, by building really, really strong relationships with my account executives, those handling my publicity, those handling my campaigns, handling brand identity, those handling the visual identity, all those things. So by interfacing with each and every one of those departments, service providers, or humans, I learned.
So if you flash forward 20 years from now, it sounds like you're just a naturally curious person and wanting to continue to become better in your profession. Now you can just log on to Instagram and follow a few marketing accounts and consume info. Kind of what are your ways now that you're continuing to keep up with marketing trends and new insights?
I belong to a lot of different marketing groups. I have a lot of peers and a couple of mentors. I have one of my best friends and mentors is a woman that was the digital strategist for Wilbur Shadwick. So she is someone that I go to a lot. And over the past 20 years, I've built up a network of people that are really, really, top of the food chain when it comes to all things marketing. So I'm in constant contact with them. I'm always taking courses online. I've done a lot of informal study through different like online courses and so on. So yeah, I have to stay on top of the game because it's always changing.
It is. In your opinion, what makes a good marketer?
Someone who can tell a story in purpose of either a business goal, an organizational goal, and someone who's just very agile. That's really, you're always positioning or repositioning in marketing. So you need to first identify what you're seeking to achieve. And once you know the end goal, then the means kind of justify the end. So you create whatever you need to do as far as the marketing strategy and tactics to achieve each goal, sub goal, or micro goal.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about your actual organization and some marketing strategies that you're deploying or just overall concepts that the organization believes in. Can you first just explain what does your customer journey flow look like well, what is a customer journey flow? And then what does it look like for your own organization?
Sure. See, we have multiple customer journey flows because we have multiple personas.
Mhm.
We
That's what
have,
I found interesting on your website, which was going to be one of my next questions.
yeah, because the general flows that you people either come to the app through a live event and they're curious to see what we do. They come to us through social media, primarily Instagram right now, and a little bit of Facebook, but Insta, through different events that we have, and then through different canvassing that we do, let's just say at universities or within different targeted sectors.
Mhm.
So there are many ways to get into the app. The main thing is that once our goal is our target is to get everyone into the app, to sign up, and then to start experiencing it on their own, in their own pay at their own pace and following their own journey. So we have a number of personas. One, well, we talked about the expat. There's a lot of expats, let's say people moving right now to Portugal, that don't know how to turn on their lights, don't know how to use public transportation, don't know what visas are necessary to go live in Portugal for 3 or 6 months or a year. So we provide those utilities through the use of something called global guides. Global guides are people like me and you that have experienced a location and then can share their own stories and their own trials and tribulations on how they got something to happen somewhere. So, in the instance of the expat that's moving to Lisbon, we have guides that share their stories. And there's also opportunity to DM and to interface within the app with the actual global guides to get deeper information. And this interface also causes the global guides to create new content that will serve kind of a macrocosm of information flow.
Mhm.
So that's in that particular instance. We have a huge sector of people in our app that are in higher ed. I mean, they're North American students that are wanting to either go abroad, or global students that are coming to the United States to do their junior abroad, or perhaps relocate here after college. So that's another really big segment of our market. So those are peer-led stories, basically student told stories to other students from different geographies.
Mhm. Something you made a comment on was around letting people have a journey at their own pace. And I'll give an example in my own life of how this made me buy something this morning. So, well, it wasn't the only reason, but it felt great. So, in gyms, how you can do your first free intro class, and you're used to like you do it, and someone's gonna come up to you with a big clipboard at the end and be like, "Hey, blah blah blah, like, are you ready to sign up for your gym membership?" This place had a different philosophy where he was just like, "Cool, you did really well today. Gave me some pointers." And you're just like, "Let me know if you need anything, ever want to come back." Kind of just left it at that. I was so just bought in from the experience. I was just like already ready to go to my car to give him my credit card. But I really appreciated how it was not pushy during the entire process of me doing my first intro class. In your own business, can you tell us a little bit more about why you think it's important to allow your leads, your clients, to go at their own pace and their own journey?
Well, because everyone has varying needs, everyone has varying timelines. But if they're in our app, it's because they're culturally curious or they're solving for something. So if they're there, we know that ultimately we have a very high conversion rate from the freemium version to the premium version because people get into the content that's available to them. And like your gym membership, just addressing that, it's a very similar thing. You
Mhm.
get in, you get like a nice shallow dive, and a little bit medium dive, and you're almost at a really deep dive. And then when you're there, if you've done it over a period of a couple of hours, a couple of minutes, or several weeks or days, then it's just the natural next step is
Mhm.
to dive into the premium version to get that deeper content. So we don't really sell. We just need to get people in app, and once people are in app, they enjoy themselves. I mean, we're informative, but we're also very
Mhm.
engaging and entertaining. So people like to swim around in there, and like what you did with your gym, some people convert immediately. Some people, it's very hard to forecast how long it really takes someone because each persona has their own conversion trajectory, if you will.
Mhm.
So ultimately, they do. Most of them do convert. but it's kind of like at their own pace, and we like that.
So am I hearing this correct that you have great branding, great marketing, and so you don't need to be super salesy? Is that how your organization operates?
Basically, yes.
Mm.
The content sells itself. I mean, we can, our big, like, our big liftoff is getting people into the app. Our
Mhm.
big, just like the big takeoff is like like an airplane. The hardest part is when the airplane's fully loaded and they have all the fuel and all the passengers just to get it to take off. So our once it takes off and people actually are in app, the app does the work because there is some really valuable content in there. It's engaging. If you haven't checked it out, you should just play around in there.
Yeah,
There's
give
all
us a
kinds of
quick shout out while we're here.
oh yeah, app.aptoglobal.com. Sign up, play in there, check out the global guides, check out your locations. You can be a couch potato virtual traveler and get to know the world. Or if you're moving anywhere, wanting to visit anywhere, you already have friends in that location through us because we've got guides a lot of places, and likely where you're wanting to go, we already have boots on the ground. So welcome.
I just want to make sure we're on the same kind of vernacular. Our organization uses the term top of funnel. Essentially, those free events, those guerrilla marketing tactics you were using to get people just in the door. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the like top of
Top of
funnel
funnel.
tactics that you're using and how you even, came up with some winning combinations that are driving good results now for the organization?
Yes, so happy to share. Top of what's working for us phenomenally well for top of funnel is something called Lingo. We've just launched it. It's an alliance with a association in South America that has a language meetup in 5 different languages. So it was born out of COVID. Basically, these people in South America would meet up at bars before COVID to practice their English. Then COVID happened, and so the event went virtual. So from a bunch of South Americans wanting to practice their English, or Americans wanting to practice Spanish, or a handful of just global expats that were living in Colombia who wanted to practice French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and English, it turned in, it naturally morphed into an online language exchange. So we have these every week, and every week there are hundreds of signups. Every week people are curious to meet other people, and since people sign up through the app, they already have an app. They're kind of forced, not forced, but that's how they get into the language exchange. They've already signed up. They're already a member of the app obviously at the freemium version, and so they primarily come in to play language, to learn their languages or practice their languages, and then that natural curiosity translates into them swimming around the app, and many of them convert into content creators, consumers of, you know, go from the freemium to the premium, and it's been working very, very well for us. And other top of funnel activities have been events that we've held at universities, events that we've held in Nashville, which is where we're based, that are actually on-site live events, that are often hybrid events that are online as well, that are in person as well as online. So that type of activity is working very well for us.
When you're just conversing with people in your real life and you're just bragging about the company you work for, is there a specific top of funnel that you tell people like, oh, you should really check out this, just through your own personal joy and excitement of it?
I love our tag. I love speak human. There's something about speaking human that really touched me. It's what drew me to the company. So my friends tend to be either journalists or multinationals or people that work in some form of entertainment or publishing, or so for me it's very easy to say, just to tell them, we enable others to speak human, and people speak human, and it's a nice conversation piece, and it's gotten most of my friends into apps, so it works.
Amazing. Something you had mentioned earlier was the multiple personas your company has. And a lot of times in marketing, you'll hear, a singular persona, but you have multiple. Can you tell us a little bit about why your company has multiple personas and any just benefits, disadvantages of going down that type of route in your marketing?
Well, first, for my department, it's a challenge because everything is times 5, because
Mm.
each customer journey is sui generis, it's unto its own. So the challenges are updating messaging as new functionalities are added to the app, and in communicating the benefit for each of the personas. But we have targeted we have broken it down to these personas, because the customer journey is different for each, because each has different needs. So an international student will not have that much in common with a multinational employee of 10 years. They will have same basic needs, getting to know cities and so on and so forth. But, a younger demographic is going to be more interested in where they can hear the best bands, where the least expensive housing is, where the good organic food is that's cheap. Whereas the multinational is going to want to know about childcare, would want to know about the better neighborhoods, going to want to know about more, the cultural offerings of whatever geography. So you need to respect each, we need to respect each of our personas, so that we're giving them what they came to our app to find, which is why marketing has to be crafted and honed and refined to touch each journey.
A few weeks ago, I interviewed this CEO of this. I love it. So when I say it's a nerdy personal finance podcast, I listen to it frequently. So and it's called Bigger Pockets. And I was asking him, how does he stay in touch with his consumer and his clients of his podcasts and all their programs, and know just their pains, their insights, their hopes, and stay really on the cusp of that. And he said he does that through getting coffee and lunch meetups with anyone in his community in Denver, frequently every single week. For you, how are you continuing to stay in touch with your consumer? Is it through surveys? Is it through coffee meetups like him, just following trends on social media? How are you going about that?
I can like check all of the boxes, like all of the above. So we have a customer checklist for each of our personas. So we have a lot of in-app events that address topics that we see are trending within each persona journey. So if we're seeing that in our student journey, their big problem, or their big challenge, is that they can't find friends to practice certain language, or they're having difficulty, assimilating in certain areas. We go, oh, look, this is something that's trending. This is a topic that needs some addressing. So we'll throw up an in-app event and then we'll invite the key people that are having this challenge, and then everyone else, because if something's being reflected within a certain persona journey, then likely the rest of that persona may be experiencing that or similar challenges. So we throw up an event. We do a live, we visit the universities that we serve, and and create an event for them. So we stay in touch in real time, in person or online. And then we have newsletters. We send newsletters that are just kind of like, oh, check out this cool content in the app that addresses each persona. And we often have like coffee clutches with our global guides, and we'll stay in touch with them by just meeting, like you and I are meeting here on Zoom, and just saying like, what's up, what are you writing about, what are you finding out there? And so we just stay on top of what's happening within each persona.
I'm going to go in a different direction, and this is around leadership as a marketing executive. What advice would you give someone on leading marketing teams and marketing talent?
I would say very clear communication, clear KPIs, clear metrics. I mean, you need to quantify and qualify what you're going for now. Those that you can have your big goals, your North Star aspirations or goals, and then you can also have which you need to achieve in certain quarters, and you just have to you have to be very clear on making sure that your entire team understands that we're working together cohesively to achieve those goals, and encourage a lot of interdepartmental communication, like a lot of just transparency, and basically just truth, just truth amongst, just, I can't do this, I can do this, and encourage a dialogue that first challenges the KPIs if they are real, if they're achievable, and if they're coherent with the North Star metric, and if they serve our strategy and our goals for that particular span of time. So just a lot of communication, a lot of clarity in goal setting, KPI, and then metrics. Then just really watch closely, not minute by minute, but just closely track what you're achieving throughout the entire process.
So with your metrics, what advice would you give someone on, it's 3 meetings in a row and we're out of KPI range? What advice would you give on how to provide direction, have those challenging conversations with your team when they're just not hitting the goals for you?
Straight up, just pull it, just call it, just call it team meeting. We do it all the time. Just we're not having enough cultural, cultural connections throughout the app. So let's look at why this is happening. Okay, what's happening is that the content has become too homogenized. That means that we have to reach out to our content team and tell them, content team, it appears to us in marketing that things are dropping off because the content's too homogeneous. So why don't we just spice it up a little bit? Let's do something else. So if we're not meeting them, we don't go, oh no, we're not meeting our metrics. Oh no, we're not meeting our KPIs. It's like, oh wow, it's an opportunity to kind of readdress what our goals were, and to basically look at it and see how we can improve from what we're not meeting. So I actually kind of like when we're not achieving certain things that we've set out to do, because it just gives us an opportunity to improve.
So what I hear as well is that you have a culture that has a good feedback. It's a good feedback culture is what I'm hearing. As I personally have experienced creative talent that maybe they're a writer, and if someone doesn't like their writing, it becomes more of a personal issue versus neutral feedback.
It can be challenging with creatives, but you know what? I think that we have a broad range of creatives, from college students to graduate students to professional writers to award-winning copywriters. I mean, we have the whole gamut that creates content for us, and we have a very proactive content team, so they listen real well, and they also want the criticism, because we're too new into our craft, into our new app, to not listen. So like us in marketing, our content team is phenomenally proactive, and they hear us. I mean, we have good listening tools. We listen to sentiment, let's say on Meltwater, we listen to sentiment across our social media monitoring tools and so on, and we share with them. We have lead alignment meetings every single Monday, and we share our findings, and this helps keep us all accountable and growing.
So for that marketing talent who, let's just say it's a copywriter and they're in a space where they are taking that feedback really personal, what advice would you give them to be able to handle that feedback better as neutral and make improvements for the better good of the product and the company they're working for?
Well, first, every client or every content funnel is different. And if you miss it, if you miss the mark, it's an opportunity for improvement. If you take it personally, it's not, we have a culture of transparency and mutual support. So it's never, nothing is ever personal. It's like, oh, that writing sucks, or that video, oh my God, what's with those transitions? We don't do that. It's more of a proactive, loving, caring, and we're all in this thing together approach. So if some copywriting comes back stilted or slanted or something, it's kind of like, Ella or Jane or whoever is like, this sounds like it's written for this audience, but really we could benefit from it being slanted more towards this audience. So why don't you just take it back and write it more for a 17-year-old to a 19-year-old, or write it for the CFO of a multinational company. So, we have those transparent conversations. So we just send it back with further, with deeper information and more specifics. It comes back, and most of the time, I would say 90% of the time or 85% of the time, it comes back almost perfect the next rewrite. And if not, then there's just smaller tweaks to be made.
What is a marketing opportunity that you're currently exploring at the company that you're really excited about?
I am so excited about the expansion of Lingo. You know, we right now have 5 languages. We're looking to expand languages. Right now, we're only one day a week, which is Fridays. We're looking to add another day, so that's a really great funnel for us. The other thing is that we're kind of ramping up our actual in loco types of live events. We did one called Speak Human Nashville in June. It was phenomenal. It was hot as hell in Nashville. The air conditioning went out in our venue, but they fixed it right before it started. But it was a really great way to bring in everyone from the Nashville community to learn more about Apto. And we saw that this generated a lot of earned media. It generated a nice spike in social. It really made for some for some really nice, proactive, growth oriented conversations at the event. So we're doing another one. So we've now partnered with a major venue holder in Nashville, and we're doing an event on the 22nd of September at a place called Nightscapes, which is like a 360-degree immersive venue that is going to show our worlds, basically the different contents of the world, which will highlight our storytelling, which will highlight our teachable moments where people can learn about different aspects of culture throughout the globe in such a cool setting. So we're inviting obviously all media, our investors, stakeholders, and just cultural components of the national community. And this event is being templated as one that will repeat again in our other targeted cities like Seattle and New York and Los Angeles, San Diego, everywhere else. But we have to perfect it. So we've got this coming up, and you are so invited. Or we'll still send you the live feed if you want it. So we're excited to be able to share that with our prospective community partners, everyone else, and clearly to anyone that's wanting to get into Apto, because it'll be a really nice showcase. Plus, we're setting a template for others that are similar.
Love it. Tell us about a marketing fail you've had in your career and some lessons you've learned from that experience.
Oh my God. This is only a 40-minute podcast, right?
Only 40.
All right. So do you want an epic fail?
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh, I'm too old to really care. So I mean, and my ego doesn't bruise anymore. So epic fails. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. So if anyone from NOLA.com is watching this, or my boss, John Donnelly, is watching this, I'm just sharing truth. I was bureau chief of NOLA.com, and I was tasked with marrying traditional journalists and digital content creators at a time at the year after Hurricane Katrina. We had just won a Pulitzer Prize for our coverage of Hurricane Katrina through Twitter primarily and social media, and just keeping people informed of where their family was and so on. And so the digital side got their heads a little bit, it's like we're digital, we do everything. We're best in class. And print journalism is kind of like it's a dying, it's a dying trade, and really we're the new next thing. So my epic fail came from assuming that traditional journalists were wanting to embrace digital journalism, and that this would be an easy task to do. So of course I made assumptions and forecasts based on me being able to make this happen. Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all, because the print side was very stuck and stayed in their way, and the digital universe was a little bit prima donna-ish, and they assumed that they were now the next best thing that journalism would ever see. But the problem with that is a lot of them were young. A lot of them really didn't have a lot of the tried and true journalistic values and validation processes and so on and so forth. So it didn't really happen. So the epic fail was when we tried to do a hybrid of a digital event married to a PBS event married to coverage by traditional journalism. And it was supposed to, in a perfect world, it would have been like the first most amazing, totally integrated news feed from multiple sources. And it was going to have hundreds of thousands of views. I stand here in front of you to tell you that it had 1,112. Didn't
Mm.
work because I know I learned from it because nothing was integrated the way it needed to go. The testing that should have happened not enough. It didn't, we should have tested it more, a little more. I should have been able to foresee that perhaps certain factions of the organization weren't really wanting to collaborate with one another, and I might have wanted to have pre-broadcast, pre-recorded certain things, so there was just like a question of switching. That didn't happen either. So it was a really great idea that ultimately was implemented, but that first event was not so great.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Sorry, John. You know this though.
I have a few questions left, and one thing that's been on my mind a lot in the last couple of months is a recession happening. And for you being in marketing in roughly 20 years, so you've seen the dot-com bubble burst. Most likely that was in your early marketing career. You saw 2008. You were obviously a marketing professional during COVID, and I'm just thinking this might be like the fourth big thing that's happened in the last 20 years or so. What advice would you give someone in marketing during a downturn in the economy?
Storytelling is key. You can tell a lot of stories without spending a lot of money. The human connection we all learned in during COVID, it's very important to be real. I mean, there's, the hype is dead. I'm a strong proponent of something called unmarketing. I mean, I think that to market effectively, you don't really market. You tell stories, you engage, you listen. You do marketing now has evolved into a craft where you're doing more listening than you are telling. And when you're telling, you're not even telling anymore. You're sharing, and you're providing opportunities for engagement. So it's just brush up on your content skills. Listen hard, and use your digital platforms the best you can. Not everything is an ad or a campaign. Organic and earned is still key. So just be mindful of that.
Let's hear on the other side. I loved the vulnerability of that marketing fail. Let's hear more of a bragging moment. So what's a marketing campaign you're very proud of that you've done in your career?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's two. One is when I had a medical durable goods company as a client, and I was able to get one of their products into the Smithsonian as a piece into the Smithsonian during a special needs exhibit. So that was like a big, huge thing. Massive media. We flew in the young woman who created this product from Wales to present her product. So it was really a huge success for the company, and the success from the Smithsonian was one of the many things that led to this small, not small, but this kind of mid-sized um, manufacturer becoming acquired by a mega, mega, mega company based in Europe. So that was a huge success, and that was following marketing instinct. I saw an opportunity. I saw a product that could fit the opportunity. I happened to have had a connection somewhere where my request was heard, which oftentimes, when you're early in your career, you don't have those connections just yet. So, my reasoning was heard and my product was accepted. So that was a really huge, huge success. Another success was when I was at the same company, NOLA.com, where I had the epic fail. Well, I also had an epic success, like an
Was it
epic.
before or after the epic fail?
Oh, it was after.
Nice.
Yeah, I stayed there for another 3.5 years. It was again, no, no, yeah, it was after that. But they expected a failure from this integrated media event. They expected a failure, but it was my ego. I was much younger then. Okay, so we're talking a long time ago. My ego expected it to work, but that's not how life works. But anyway, flash forward a couple of years after that. Um, there's a company called Saint Bernard Project, and they were rebuilding houses at a time when FEMA was failing all of New Orleans. Basically, they were helping rebuild houses. They built a medical clinic. It was this couple from New York that came to New Orleans out of exasperation with the situation, decided to do something like build houses, and they were very successful. Well, they were accepted as a contestant or a competitor for CNN Hero of the Year. And the same boss that lived through the other fiasco, he said, okay, I'm gonna give you, John Donnelly gave me another chance. He goes, all right, well, we're gonna try this again. Let's see how your integrated media strategy is gonna work this time. Like little Missy, it's kind of like, all right, well, this time we're gonna be a little bit more tactical and a little more organized and be a little bit more sober about how we're going to do this. So we did. I did a strat plan that touched all levels and parts of the community, the media departments and so on. So basically, we created a bunch of content, used the content that Zach and Liz were creating for St. Bernard Parish, and we basically presented it just pedal to the metal to maximize exposure of this content and positioning of this competition and so on. We live streamed the day of the competition from different locations, and we did a lot of stuff to cause a lot of engagement and to influence the voting at CNN. So our tactics were as follows. We used our platform. We were one of the advanced internet companies. So we kind of like just sent this out to all of our properties and asked everyone to encourage to carry our feed and to encourage their populations to vote. Well, it worked. It so happened that this little nonprofit from St. Bernard Parish in LA won CNN Hero of the Year. They got the money, they got they got the recognition. And I'm proud to say that that they're still working hard in New Orleans and serving that population. So that was huge.
Amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you. It was so cool. My Brucey kind of went, oh, it
worked. So our last question today is, what is the best purchase you've made for under $100 in the last 6 months? Either personal or professionally.
Personal or professional? My best. Okay. A sonic toothbrush?
Yeah, that's a great investment. My dad's a dentist. He would approve.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it was like, well, but it was a little bit more than $100. Is $109 okay?
We'll round down.
Okay, cool. All right.
Perfect. So the last thing is that I would just love for you once again to give a shout out to ways people can connect with you, your organization, and follow you, visit the website, sign up for the app, post podcast.
Okay, beautiful. Listen, all of our social media is at Apto Global. So we're on Insta, Facebook, Twitter. We're going to be launching TikTok in 2023. We've got some great content there. Please go in app.aptoglobal.com. And then to reach me, it can be across any of the social or my name, Milena, at aptoglobal.com.
Amazing. Milena, it was so great to meet you today, and thank you for your time.
Pleasure was mine. Thanks for having me.